Rajasthan is defined by a global reputation for vibrant, majestic architecture. In every travel guide and history book, we see a region of pristine royal palaces and flawlessly preserved sandstone courtyards. These structures were designed for extreme isolation. At the Hawa Mahal, hundreds of honeycomb windows allowed the royal women to observe the public while remaining entirely hidden from the world outside. But look beyond the palace walls, and a parallel landscape emerges. Across the desert, there is a hidden geography of sprawling, abandoned villages and forts that locals have refused to enter for centuries. The village of Kuldhara has sat in ruins for over 300 years. It is an entire community of hundreds of homes left to decay into a grid of stone foundations. Local folklore tells of a cruel ruler who demanded a girl from the village. To avoid submission, every single resident packed their belongings and vanished in a single night. Before they left, the community allegedly placed a curse on the soil. They declared that no one would ever be able to successfully settle this land again, a warning that has successfully kept the village empty into the present day. For generations, this story has been categorized as a spooky legend. But if we look at the specific wording and the impact of the curse, we can begin to see it as something else, a political weapon used by a community with no other way to strike back. The mass migration of Kuldhara's residents functioned as a unified act of resistance. By removing their labor and their presence, the villagers crippled the ruler's ability to govern the territory. The curse itself acted as a scorched earth tactic. By branding the land as haunted, the fleeing population ensured that the ruler could never repopulate the area or profit from the resources they left behind. This pattern wasn't limited to a single village. Mapping the haunted sites of the Jaipur region reveals a direct overlap between these legends and eras of rapid royal expansion. Forced displacement was a systemic reality. We see this at Nahargarh Fort, built on land seized by the Maharaja in the 1730s. Legend says the fort is haunted by the spirit of Nahar Singh Bhomia, the original prince whose property was taken for the construction. During construction, workers reported ghostly sabotage, with walls being knocked over in the night. In the context of a land seizure, these events suggest a very physical resistance from the locals who were being displaced by the rising walls. Executing these projects required immense wealth and the backing of guards to enforce centralized power. These portraits illustrate an authority that could dictate exactly where a community could or could not live. Over time, the supernatural legend of the haunt often becomes the dominant narrative. This transition can effectively obscure the original land dispute, replacing a story of violent seizure with a tale of restless spirits. As royal power consolidated, the region's architecture physically evolved to enforce a strict boundary between the rulers and the public. Jaipur Fort is a study in military exclusion. Its massive stone walls and watchtowers were designed to dominate the valley, physically blocking the surrounding population from the secrets and wealth held within. Even non-military structures focused on separation. The Jal Mahal was built to host royal hunting soirees in complete isolation, sitting in the middle of a lake to keep the public at a distance. This diagram shows the resource cost of these marvels. Building these high-altitude and submerged palaces required a massive diversion of water, stone, and labor, all siphoned away from the villages in the valley. Every breathtaking architectural milestone in the region came with a price. These structures demanded the spatial and economic displacement of the local populations to function. Today, there is a stark visual divide in Rajasthan. On one side are the celebrated, pristine palaces. On the other are the decaying, haunted ruins that rest on our outskirts. Vangar Fort stands as a symbol of this decay. After a series of tragedies, an entire community was wiped off the map, leaving behind a stone skeleton that no one is permitted to enter after dark. History is traditionally recorded in permanent materials like mortar and stone. Those with the most power were able to write their history into the skyline of Jaipur. But populations without the resources to build stone monuments recorded their traumas differently. They encoded their history into folklore, legends, and curses that have outlived the civilizations that created them. These haunted ruins function as shadow archives, alternative monuments that preserve the memories of those erased by the march of architectural progress. By looking at what was left behind, we see the resistance of the displaced written into the very landscape of Rajasthan.